Hey guys, it's Libby, and today I'm going to be talking about the books that I read in May. This month I read 3 novels, 1 graphic novel, and 1 audiobook. And I tried to do more reviews for the books I read this month than I normally do because my wrap-ups tend to be like 20-25 minutes long because I'm basically doing book reviews for like 5 or 6 books, which is just too much. So a lot of times I will just be briefly mentioning the book that I read and then pointing you to a review that I did or will do shortly. But the first book that I read in May, I did not do a review of. It was The Grey Woman by Elizabeth Gaskell. It's actually more of a novella. I listened to it on audiobook and it was like less than 3 hours. And I did not do a review of that book because I basically remembered nothing about it. It was an audiobook, so I was kind of busy doing other things, and the only thing that could jog my memory of it at all was remembering that it was a Bluebeard retelling. And so I gave it 3 out of 5 stars because it clearly was not able to hold my attention, but I wasn't paying enough attention in order to decide that it was bad, so don't ask me about that book. The next book I read was something of a different situation. It was Unseen Academicals by Terry Pratchett. This is one of my favorite books. It wasn't quite good enough to make it into my favorites videos, link below, but I still really like it. It's one of my favorite Discworld novels. This is the last book in the Rincewind sub-series, and I don't have a review of this up yet, but I will have a review of sorts up soon, so look forward to that. But very briefly, this book is a satire of a Romeo and Juliet love story and also football, and football meaning soccer, and many other things, as Terry Pratchett tends to do, and it's really charming. Oh, also racism. Talks about racism. It says it is bad. But yeah, this is a charming, cute, it's not cute. It's deeper than cute. It is a beautiful novel, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Again, because I have read this one many, many times. I also read another book in the Discworld series that is Equal Rights. This is the first book in the Witches sub-series, and I read this many years ago, back in like middle school, I think, and I'd kind of forgotten everything that happens. I do remember that a friend of mine also read it, and she didn't like it, so kind of going on her opinion, and I was going into it with rather lowered expectations since it's also an early Discworld novel. This was the 3rd one ever published, and those I tend to not like those as much. And I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. It's about feminism, and it's fine. It doesn't make any like incredibly profound points. And I had the same problem with this book that I had with The Last Continent, in that it feels like it takes a really long time before we get to the plot. But I will go into this more in a future video. I also read The Fire Sermon by Francesca Haig. I enjoyed this one quite a lot. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I gave it its own review, but just a brief précis. This is the first of a trilogy of a post-apocalyptic dystopian YA novel in which the world is divided into the perfect alpha twins and the deformed omega twins and social strife and whatnot. However, if one of the twins dies, so does the other one. So, complications. If you want more, go check out the review. And finally, I read Nimona, which is a graphic novel, which was absolutely amazing. It's all color for people who are not so sure about the graphic novel experience. This is a nice one to start with because it is beautiful. I say graphic novel, maybe that's not the correct term because it is based on a webcomic. So am I supposed to call it a published webcomic? Someone please enlighten me. And this is a story about the shape-shifting sidekick of a supervillain who goes around kicking butt and being awesome. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I would highly recommend it. Oh, I didn't mention, it's by Noelle Stevenson. She, I believe, is more famous for working on Lumberjanes, which I've seen a lot of people reading. So, if you enjoyed Lumberjanes, go out and get Nimona. Huh, that went so much faster than it usually goes. So let's check in on my 2015 reading goals. I had 4 of them. The first one was read Tess of the D'Urbervilles, which I did back in January. Check. The next one was read 5 classic novels, which I have far surpassed. I finished that one months ago. I also want to read the entire Discworld series. That is looking less like it will definitely happen. There are 40 novels I've read. How many have I read? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've read 9, and we're almost halfway through the year. So I can't, it's not that I can't do it. It's that there's other things that I want to read clearly. So I do want to read all the Discworld novels. If that gets continued on into 2016, then that's okay by me. And then my last goal for the year was to read 100 books. I have currently read 45, which puts me 4 books ahead of schedule according to Goodreads. I have slowed down a little bit this month. Once upon a time I was like 8 books ahead of schedule, but I'm not worried. I'm fully confident that I can read the whole 100 books because there's summer coming up and I work as a substitute teacher, so I will have lots more free time, and I got some more graphic novels. I'm starting to get into those, so those go by much faster than your regular novel, and also audiobooks are a thing. So I foresee victory on that count. And so now, TBR for June. Oh my god, it's June? What? I feel so old, you guys. The books that I'm reading right now are A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I'm going to finish today and get an interesting review up for you. And I've also started the Osiris Ritual, which is the next book in the Newberry and Hobbs investigation series. I read the Affinity Bridge last year? This year? I don't remember, but I did read the Affinity Bridge. I'm about 60 pages into it, so I haven't really formed opinions yet. And then later this week, I am leaving for a week's vacation in Boulder, Colorado. So since I'm going to be traveling out, I'm going to bring the Osiris Ritual, but that's the only physical book I'm going to bring. So I think I'll just pick something from off of my Kindle app on my phone. The books I have are The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, which is a modern gothic book lover type of novel. I don't know much about any of these. The Emperor's Edge, which is a high fantasy steampunk by Lindsay Buroker. I believe just regular, not super high fantasy steampunk, Lady of Devices by Shelley Adina. A Northern Light by Jennifer Donnelly. Northern Light, I believe it is based on a real-life murder that happened in the 1950s in New England. So that's not something I usually read, but maybe. And then Tales of Glasstown, Angria, and Gondel, which are the early writings of the 4 Bronte siblings who, you know, lived to write things. So if you guys have read any of these books and think I should focus on one of them in particular, please let me know. And after that, I'm kind of not sure what I want to read for the rest of the month. I'll definitely read another Discworld novel. The next one is Weird Sisters. And I may very well read another Newberry and Hobbs investigation, but those go by quite quickly. So it'll probably be more of like a mood reading type of month. Oh, but actually, there's one thing. I kind of feel like I might want to read The Hobbit. Here's my copy of it. I have the big illustrated version. I personally find the illustrations kind of ugly. But I have not read this book, and I have not read any of the Lord of the Rings novels. I have seen the movies, of course, and I think that I liked the Hobbit movie more than I was supposed to. So sorry, the Hobbit movies, all 3 of them, particularly the last one. The first 2 were hilarious, though. So I might read The Hobbit, you guys. I hope that's okay. So that is my plan of sorts. Please let me know in the comments if you have read any of these books that I mentioned, either books that I have previously read so we can spoilery talk about them, or books that I'm planning on reading so you can guide me towards the right one. I would appreciate it. And I will see you later.